Hello everyone, welcome to Candied's Kitchen. Today we're making one of our favorite things to have, especially in the summertime, candied jalapenos, aka cowboy candy. You need 5 pounds of jalapenos. I've already got mine sliced up. You'll notice I don't bother coring or seeding mine. By the time you cook the jalapenos and add all the sugar, it's still spicy, but it's a really good sweet heat, so I just leave all that in. I've got some orange ones in here. I left these on the table, and where they're in the sun, a few of them turned orange. But that's fine. They weren't wrinkly or they weren't like moldy or anything, so just make sure you have like good, firm, fresh jalapenos when you do this. We've got turmeric, celery seed, garlic powder, some cayenne, apple cider vinegar, and sugar. And here is the recipe that we're going to be using if you want to screenshot it. I can't remember where I got this recipe from. When I do these, I try to kind of cite my sources, but I cannot for the life of me remember where I got this recipe from. But I've done it for years. Like I said, it's one of our favorites. I do them every summer. I think we're actually down to our last half pint, so it's time. So now that we have everything we need, we're going to jump right into the cooking. So we start off in a big pot with 6 whopping cups of sugar. I wasn't lying when I said these were candy. We've got all of our seasonings. That red is the cayenne. If you're afraid of the heat, you can leave it out. I think the recipe calls for a teaspoon. I do tend to go a little bit shy of that. Got 2 cups of apple cider vinegar. That's going to give us the acidity we need to water bath can this. Yeah, we're going to bring this to a boil. Let some of that sugar dissolve. Reduce the heat. We'll let it simmer for 5 minutes, and then we'll add our jalapenos. So we're at a rolling boil. We're going to turn this down, and once it comes to a simmer, we're going to let it simmer for about 5 minutes. Be really careful with this step. I don't know how many times I've let this boil over, and it is such a sticky mess. We've been simmering for 5 minutes, so now we're going to bring it back to a rolling boil, which won't take long. And once it's boiling again, we're going to add our jalapenos. Alright, that looks like a pretty good boil. We're going to carefully dump in our jalapenos. Okay, let's see what the best way to do this is. I'm trying not to tangle them too much. Even whenever I slice them up, I use gloves because that stuff, it is so hard to like wash off your hands. And you think your hands are clean, like you go to rub your eyes and then they're on fire. So we're going to give it a good stir. I feel like it's so awkward to wash my hand from this angle, but I'm not left-handed. Once you get them all stirred up, go ahead and let it come to a boil again. So now that we're boiling again, I'm going to go ahead and turn the heat down, and we're going to simmer for 4 minutes. Once it comes to a simmer, I'll start the timer for 4 minutes. Now that we've let our jalapenos simmer, it's time to fill our jars. Alright, we've got our half pint sterilized jars, all hot, ready to go. We're going to take a slotted spoon, and we're going to fill each one with jalapenos first. Oops, I gotta get my little phone. This is all really sticky, so I highly suggest you get a towel down. I think they'll look pretty in my jars. Kind of pack them down. Remember, everything is hot to the touch, so also be careful. Well, right now all I'm doing, I've got a ladle And I'm just going to go through and fill it up with our syrup. And now if you want, this has still got a lot of syrup left. If you want it a little bit thicker and your jars are a little more condensed, you can cook it down. I usually do that. But I'm actually wanting to try to make a barbecue sauce out of my leftover, syrup here. I think it sounds really good. I've never done it. If it turns out, I might share it with you guys. But if you don't have any intention of doing that, you can just can this too. And you can just fill it up with a little half-pint jar of just the syrup and can it along with your jalapenos. But like I said, usually what I do is I'll just bring this to a hard boil and I'll cook it down a little bit, maybe like 5 or 10 minutes, make sure it doesn't boil over. And that way I have a thicker syrup in my jalapenos. Kids started getting rowdy, so I had to switch over to voiceover. But here I am, I've got my little debubbler, and all I'm doing is going all the way around my jars and getting all the bubbles out while I maintain my 1 inch of headspace. The next step here, all I'm doing is wiping off my rims of my jars. Remember, this is all really sticky, so we gotta get our rims clean. I'm just using a clean paper towel, and I wet it with warm water. You can also use vinegar, either one's fine, whichever you prefer. And then we're putting the sterilized lids on top. I try to use this little magnetic thing to keep from touching them too much, but I'm a little clumsy with it. But it's handy just to have them right there in a little bowl so they're ready to go. Now we're just putting on our rings, and remember you want to do these just fingertip tight, not too tight, not too loose. And this will be our last step before we get these in the canner. I've got my water bath canner, which is really just a big pot with a canning rack at the bottom. My water is not boiling yet, but it is hot. It's kind of getting to the simmering point, which is a good time to add your jars. You're going to want to make sure you got at least 1 to 2 inches of water above your jars when you add them in. And like I said, the water is hot, so be careful. We're going to just water bath these for 15 minutes. I don't start my processing time until the water comes to a rolling boil. Once I get all my jars in, I put the lid on, listen for the boil. I check it. When it comes to a rolling boil, that's when I start my 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes, you turn your stove off. I usually take the lid off. And you wait 5 extra minutes. And that 5 extra minutes is just mostly to make sure you don't burn yourself trying to get your jars out of boiling water. So it's been a couple days and I've been busy. So for the recipe, it calls for 5 pounds of jalapenos, and they'll yield 8 half pints. So I went back and got a few more, like 5 pounds more. I had 10 to begin with, and I went ahead and got 5 more. So we're looking at 15 pounds of jalapeno, which gave me 24 half pints. Very happy with that. Ideally, I could have grown these, but my jalapeno plants, I think I already mentioned it, they're not looking so hot. And you actually have to wait 4 weeks before you eat these, which is hard to do. They're delicious, but it's worth the wait. And I wanted to have plenty of these on hand for like summer barbecues. So I got these for $1 a pound at Kroger on sale. So later on, you may actually find a better deal on them, like later on in the summer when they're more in season. But like I said, I wanted to go ahead and have plenty on hand. And I think I showed you guys the first bit of the recipe at the beginning. Kind of show you what all you need, and then here's the rest of the instructions, because there's a lot of like simmering and boiling going on. The prep time is probably a little bit longer than 20 minutes, but if you include all the chop time for the jalapenos, but they're definitely worth it. If you guys like this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. I'll be doing more videos like this, and I would love for y'all to come back and see me.